I'm Loren Matlock with Matlock Farms. I'm a young agriculturist, and this is Hancock Rising.
Hello everyone, my name is Elijah Lawler and this is Hancock Rising.
I'm Loren Matlock.
Loren is, I went to high school with Loren. He's a friend of mine. He lives in the county and he's a farmer. Loren, if you want to give us a little bit of backstory on who you are, we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, so, you mentioned I live right here in the community. Grew up in Hancock County, just southeast of Greenfield, just north of Morristown, that is. My family, we farmed for quite a while. I'm fifth generation. Technically, we are a sixth generation operation. I have nephews now that are involved, and they've got cattle. So, long family history in farming, and that's kind of been my entire backstory has been in agriculture. Whether it was just being on the farm, being involved in FFA or 4-H, whatever it was. So that's my deep passions all the way through my childhood, and then I decided to get out of the county for a little while and go to the great state of Oklahoma and attend Oklahoma State. And while there, still studying in the agricultural fields. So, and just moved back to Indiana and here to join the family farm.
That's great to hear. So, how have you always, from a little kid, known you wanted to stay with agriculture?
Yeah, I definitely staying in agriculture. I don't think that any part of me could ever get far enough away from agriculture or from the family farm to say, like, I don't want to be involved in agriculture in some way. It's in my blood. Everybody's got something in them that's in their blood where they have to be involved in it or around it. And that can be anything and everything that anybody could ever imagine. For me, that is agriculture, whether it's just being on the farm, running machinery, or with livestock. Because with the cattle side, that's where that really just flows through my blood.
So what all do you guys farm here in Hancock County?
Yeah, so our family is mainly in corn and soybean production. We also grow a lot of cover crops. We grow wheat, and we do a lot of forage in the summertime. So we do hay and alfalfa. And then we also are in the livestock industry with cattle, beef cattle specifically. Throughout history, though, our family has been involved like in every livestock family that you can imagine. Going back, my family raised chickens and sheep, and they had dairy cattle and they milked cattle. And my father was in the hog business for a long time, and I was in the hog business for a while on my own. And then, but beef cattle has been something that's stuck with us the entire way.
You were telling me before we started rolling about everyone's baled hay for your great uncle.
Yeah. It feels like every person I run into, and specifically when we were like in high school, parents of kids we went to school with, well, I baled hay for your dad one time, and I knew that after that I couldn't ever keep up with those guys again, or maybe it was with my great uncle or my brother. Part of his SAE, his supervised agriculture experience through FFA, was his baling business. So a lot of people in the community have done that. Have baled hay with our family, or if it wasn't baling hay, there's a lot of married couples out there who my grandmother made their wedding cake. So, and somehow it was like everybody had some type of experience.
Mm-hmm. And you guys did sweet corn for a while. Do you still do sweet corn?
Yeah. So we've always planted sweet corn because, farm families have always been very adamant on providing for themselves. They're not takers. More than anything, they're providers for their family and they're givers to others. And our family's always been in the sweet corn deal. We raise it. We come together as a family. Family comes from all the other places they live, whether it's North Carolina or the west side of Indianapolis. We come together as a family, and we split it up between the family and do all the jobs as well. But we did do some sweet corn production to market. We did some organic sweet corn, and that was short lived, but it was definitely fun and very much a learning process. That's for sure.
That's brings me to my next question. So you went out to Oklahoma for a while. Was there anything there that you noticed was a lot different from farming here in Indiana? Guessing a
Almost
lot. Yeah.
almost everything. It felt like one. Their soil is not the same type of soil we have. So farming out there is nothing compared to what it is here in Indiana, and specifically what I know right here in Hancock County. Cattle production is just astronomically huge, and I don't even know if astronomically is a word, but just to put into in perspective how large it is. But I tell you what, and this is a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people can think about differences in agricultural production between here and anywhere else, but I learned in Oklahoma that a lot of those guys, when they're planting their wheat, because they grow a lot of wheat, but when they farm, here in Indiana, here growing up at least, we plant back and forth. We drive down the field, turn around, and go back. And a lot of us are fortunate to have a button that we hit now, and the tractor drives itself. Out there, they do everything around and around. They start on the outside of the field, and they just drive around and around until they get to the very middle. And it took me forever to get used to it, because I worked on a ranch out there, and we planted a lot of wheat. And I still am not used to it. I could go do it today, and I'm perfectly fine with doing it, but it still makes zero sense to me.
And I think that's something too that, like I'd say, like the general public maybe doesn't understand is how broad agriculture is.
Okay.
It's massive. There's so many. Even like you were saying, in Hancock County could be different than like southern or northern Indiana, as far as the way people are doing things. As someone who's younger, what does farming mean to you? Like carrying on that legacy, is it important to you to continue to do that?
Absolutely. When I think of farming, and for everybody it's different, whether or not you're a generational farm, you're just getting started into it. But for me specifically, growing up on a family farm, you hit the word legacy, and I think of legacy and tradition, and then with that, you think about what makes that up, and it's the hard work and the commitment. And as somebody who's young gets to look up to the people who are teaching them, I mean, whether that's my dad or my grandpa, and I'm fortunate to have a brother to look up to as well. I think of everything that it takes for us to do those things together. And it is instilled in me, not just for agriculture, but anything that I do. If you're gonna be committed to something, you're gonna have to work hard. And that whole thing, like the farming aspect of it, and being a family farm, has just like fueled everything that I've been able to do. And that's something I want to instill in my kids one day too. So.
Well, and something you mentioned too before the show, that you're big into your faith, and that's something I kind of wanted to tie into ag a little bit. That goes hand in hand almost, with farming and being a Christian.
Yes.
You want to talk about that a little bit? How being a Christian has helped you out working in agriculture?
Yeah, first and foremost, I'm nothing without my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And nothing in this world matters if not for Him. And for me, it's pretty personal. I was 13, and I remember it was like it was yesterday. Black Friday of 2014 is the day that happened. I was involved in an accident. I ended up getting ran over by a tractor, and in the moment you're scared of everything, and you don't know what's happening. There's a lot of chaos, but deep down there's this like sense of peace with it all. And I was very, very fortunate after it was all said and done. And I banged up my leg, and I have some issues that carry on from that. And I was just a kid at the time, and I ended up cracking my eye socket, going and hopping on a helicopter, flying to Riley Children's Hospital, and walked away with just that cracked eye socket. And after that, you get a lot of time to start and think about what happened. And everybody says, you had somebody watching over you. You had somebody watching over you. And I fully agreed with that and thought so. And I grew up in the church and grew up with a family that's strong in their faith and taught me a lot of that stuff. And as a kid, it's just part of the motion. It's part of what you do. It's part of what you know. But having that time to think And then I had somebody ask me, they said, Lauren, I said, would you have been okay if everything ended that day? And, initially I was like, yeah, I'll just find a way to joke about it. But when I step back and I really start to think about it, and I think, would I have been okay if like my life had just completely ended right then and there? And then I start thinking about the relationships that I have, whether it be with friends or family, the type of conversations that I have, and also think then you start to think about what's your relationship with Christ like.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just had a moment of realization, like I'm 13, going on 14, but I'm not really living for the right things.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to be more crucial of my conversations, the things I'm saying. I don't want my last conversation to be an argument with my dad, and then I walk out the door and end up getting ran over by a tractor, and that's the last thing that's remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's my mom saying like, "Hey, I love you," and I'm in too big of a hurry to hear it or recognize it, and I walk out the door and something happens. And then most importantly, I don't have a relationship with God that I feel is worthy, and something ends up happening. And that accident, and being able to reflect on it and build on my faith really opened up the door to like, let's live for today, because you don't get tomorrow. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. And those exact words, live for today because tomorrow's not guaranteed, is something I've lived by since that realization. Nothing in this world is too serious to just sit back and say, hey, it's all going to be all right. I'll get to see the sunrise tomorrow, and tomorrow will be a new day. But for now, I'm going to live for today. I'm going to enjoy my time today.
And I'm sure that's helped you out, because there can be some struggles while farming, but if you have your faith to, fall back onto, it helps with that process a lot.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about farming as one of the most dangerous occupations in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always that danger. But you also think about the mental toll that it takes on guys and gals. There's plenty of women involved as well. But if you think about right now, the struggle with high interest rates, high input rates, sometimes legislation doesn't go the way that a lot of farmers need it to go to. You got grain prices that are going down, and then, fortunately you have livestock prices that are going up. But when some of those commodities are going up, they requires a lot more money to be involved, and the stress that can just be put on a family. It starts individually a lot of times. But you think about what we talked about just a minute ago, providing and giving. When that's in your heart and you're dealing with all this stress, it almost just like builds upon it. And so, absolutely, I think that it helps you through it all.
Yeah, that's something that's very important. I remember being a little kid, and we did produce, that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I was 8 or 9 years old, and there was a lot of bad storms coming, and we had to go to the farm and cover up the plasticulture there, because the wind would blow it up, blow all our tomatoes up. And I remember being a little kid, taking the shovel, throwing the dirt on it. I remember falling to my knees and just praying, because I was, in that moment, I'm like, our farm is going to get it blown away. I'm thinking drastic, but I agree with you. Stuff like that is, your faith does tie into it a lot, and there's a lot of those moments. I feel like that's the way it is for most farmers. There's that. I think it's a poem, or it's So God Made a Farmer. I'm sure you've seen it. Yeah, it's a really good one. But then that speaks to the broader scale of farmers and people in agriculture. There's a lot of people, I feel like, don't think, like you said, it's one of the most dangerous professions. Yeah. People don't know how dangerous it is. Farmers, some of them may take off, certain seasons, but when they are in that season, they are working night and day hard, and a lot of people don't think about that. I mean, there's farmers that are in the field from 4 a.m. till 4 a.m. right?
Exactly.
Sometimes you don't sleep during planting season, and I think people need to kind of look at that and think a farmer a little better about where their food's coming from, because it's hard to get there.
Yeah, and you and I were talking earlier. It's just as simple as people don't realize without a farmer, you'd be nothing, and you'd be
Yeah.
naked and hungry
Hmm.
is what it would be. And yeah, I mean, you're completely right.
In Hancock County here, we have a lot of farmers here. I mean, we're a farming
Absolutely.
county, and so you being from here, you're able to give a direct, opinion from that. And yeah, I think that's a great thing for people to know. I wanted to talk a little bit real quick about younger people on ag. How would you tell someone your age or even younger than you to go out there and make your voice heard? Because I know that's something we talked about. It's a little hard being
Yeah.
young and trying to be heard. Do you have any opinion on how someone can go out there and try to advocate for farming as a young person themselves?
Yeah, I think that to start, you have to have a passion for it.
Mhm.
Which I think that's anything. If you're going to advocate for something, hopefully it's something that you're passionate about.
Mhm.
If you're advocating for something that you don't, I mean, I feel like it might be a little bit of a waste of time if it's not what you believe in. But when it comes to agriculture, we're in such a hostile world. Um, just outside of agriculture too. Just politically, it's very hostile, and sometimes it can feel like the simple like passing by people that and the way they interact can be a little hostile. So be prepared. Um, and like we said, and personally, my opinion in Hancock County, uh, I think it's pretty hard for youth to be involved in agriculture organizations. And I'm not saying organizations like FFA and 4-H that are tailored to youth,
Mhm.
but I'm talking about the youth that are outside of that are our age, that are outside of high school, maybe getting out of college, that are going into the adult world. I think that is the toughest time because we're fortunate enough. You're out of high school, we're involved in agriculture. Maybe you go off to a university, or maybe you go do something else outside of your county, and you come back, and we have a lot of fresh ideas.
Mhm.
And I think there's a lot of youth out there that do. And I think that as plain as it can be, you're going to have to be tough too,
Mhm. Yeah.
because there's not a lot of space. There's not a lot of space to get in there,
Mhm.
and so it's as simple as having a passion, being prepared, and being tough.
And being a little relentless too.
Yeah, and being relentless for sure, because it's not going to be an overnight issue that gets solved.
Well, I think too, I just want to add on with that is that sometimes a lot of what keeps people in farming, in my opinion, is that their family does it, right?
Yep.
And this is just something, I mean, I'm going to continue to farm because my family was in it, but there's not some, people our age that are wanting to get in farming don't always have that. So there needs to be some sort of organization or something like that for people my or your age that a younger person who doesn't know anything about agriculture
Yeah.
can go to and sort of help get guided
Yeah.
into that path, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't always have a mom or dad or grandfather or uncle who's in farming that can sort of guide them in the right
Yeah.
direction. So as far as being from Hancock County, this is a little bit of an easier question. What's your favorite thing about living in Hancock County? I mean, you went out to Oklahoma, now you're back here, so
Yeah, man, my favorite thing about Hancock County, man, I think you and I are both fortunate that we went to Eastern Hancock.
mhm.
And that's more of a rural school with heavy agricultural ties. But at least from my experience, first, Hancock County is so diverse.
Mhm.
I mean, it is just as diverse as you can get, considering we're a donut county. So you have Cumberland, Indianapolis influence there. You've got a lot more business and manufacturing coming into town right here in the middle. But a lot of Hancock County is still rural. And so that sense of community is like one of the best things about Hancock County for me. Sense of community and crab ragoons from pot stickers and New Pal. So
Not like you brought up Eastern Hancock. I mean, that's one of those things. I have some friends now, now that I'm older, that went to public school like in Indianapolis
Yeah.
and stuff. They don't talk to anybody they went to school with
Yeah.
to this day because it was such a big school.
yeah,
But I feel like that sort of tight Eastern Hancock community. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah.
We still talk to everyone we went to high school with, and you stay close probably
Yeah.
throughout your entire
yeah,
life. you highlighted that's a really good thing.
And I think you notice it the most when times get tough.
Mm-hmm.
You and I, we both went to school during some tough times and losing some classmates, and boy, do you never see a community come together more than when times get tough and when other people need it. So that's something that I really enjoy about this place.
Well, when we were produce farming, I mean, even having a school that, like you guys came out for the football team came out and helped plant one of the fields, something like that is really cool. And you get that with a community like that.
Yeah.
And I hope we sort of keep those community values, and hopefully the county, we're getting a lot of growth to Hancock County right now. Whether it's good or bad, I think it's a little relevant to how we need to prepare for it.
Yeah.
But with all that coming, the only thing I want to say about the growth is I hope, regardless, as we keep that community value, like the closeness of it that we were talking about. That's important.
And we're fortunate to have that here in Hancock County. So a lot of counties, and I can't speak for a lot of other counties, but I'm sure there's a county out there, there's somebody out there who doesn't feel like they have that. And like we're going back on talking about youth, like we're fortunate in our county that we have that. But that's for young agriculturists looking to get into something is hopefully they can find that sense of community. And I was thinking of one thing that I want to talk about too, because you bring up like somebody that maybe doesn't know a whole lot about agriculture, or maybe somebody that does and they want to get into farming and whatever it may be, and they're doing something right now. Just realize that in agriculture and farming specifically, in row crop, if you like just trying to be a row crop farmer, just trying to grow corn and soybeans, is, I'm not going to say impossible, but it's very, very hard if you're not diversified. Because the long time quote of every successful farmer has a wife in town that works in town, or something along those lines. And that's, you may ask, how do you make a farm last 6 generations? Diversification. We've been fortunate that a lot of us have had really good jobs. I mean, whether that's going to town and working, or you work in seed sales, or you do any type of side hustle. In the wintertime, we push a lot of snow, and that's always been something that I've done, my brother's done, my dad's done, and we've always done. But we have livestock. That's our diversification. And some older farmers will talk, and I don't want to, Dad, I'm not trying to tell you you're old, but those guys will say, like, when farming wasn't making me any money, livestock's what got me by. Or when farming wasn't making me any money, thank goodness I had a job in town. Like, don't be afraid to do multiple things at once.
Well, and that's too is I wanted to bring this up is farmers are they're servants of the community in a way. That they don't have to do it, but I don't think when you think of the average farmer, he's not a millionaire or billionaire. They're not doing it to become super rich. That'd be a good thing.
That'd be great.
That'd be great. But my grandpa, who lives in Ohio, has been doing it his whole life, and he's in his 70s now. He's not a millionaire from it, but he did it his whole life. And I can't even think 7-year-old farmer did it since he was a kid. How many people have benefited from his hard work? And I think people need to look deeper into that. I think you coming on here to tell your story, talk more in depth about farming is very important for agriculture and the community we have here. For people to hear directly from you as a farmer, I think that's very important. So that's something I want to highlight on this show, is just hearing directly from people, knowing that they're people too, they're human. It's not just a job, and giving your sort of testimony with getting ran over by a tractor when you were 13, and how that got you closer to your faith and helped you out with what you do in agriculture now. That's amazing. I think that's amazing for people to hear.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to bring up that we didn't talk about that you like to tell the people of Hancock County?
Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of, like you brought it up, there's a lot of change in Hancock County. And I think that it's important, whether you're in the agricultural field or not, just be ready to adapt. Because, if it's not happening here in Hancock County, I guarantee it's happening somewhere else. And eventually it'll come back around. And so just be ready to adapt, whether you're young, middle-aged, or old. Adapt or die.
If people want to buy that sweet corn, where can they get it from you guys?
Well,
When the time comes,
when the time comes, you can find me on Facebook and message me, and we'll see how much sweet corn we got left over. So, but be on the lookout too in Hancock County. There's a lot of other farmers and young farmers that are selling sweet corn. Check out Charlie Sparks down there on 300 South and 500 East. He's selling some sweet corn every year. He's got an awful great little market there.
And I think that's too, real quick, is that don't just go, I'm not saying to not just go to one farmer, but there are farmers. There's so many different diverse farmers here in Hancock County. You can go to all different farmers, and they're going to have something that the other guy isn't.
Absolutely.
So, go shop from all farmers, not just one, or one if they do have everything for him. Yeah, Loren, I appreciate you coming onto the show and talking about your story and what you guys do. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.